With each and every new generation, ASRock really does create an outstanding boards concerning the Taichi models. Now, the last one we did was Taichi Carrara, but that was for the AMD processors. Today we have the ASRock Z790 Taichi, which looks just outstanding. And the more the time advances and the new generations come in, the board look more and more serious in terms of design, aggressive, and definitely some interesting specs. Well, that's basically based on the platform and each generation advancing, but nevertheless they really do look quite interesting. Now, right from the start and right from the first looks, what we can see is a massive passive heatsink right here on the VRMs and a bit smaller one here on the top, but nevertheless huge part here for your M.2 SSDs, which we will cover and get into the details, and a nice little badge right here sticking out on the passive heatsink of the M.2 saying Taichi 21 ASRock. Really outstanding design, and I can't actually say anything against it. The only thing and the only shame I have to admit is comparing it to the Z690 Taichi, this one doesn't have moving cogs on the I/O cover, and that's honestly a shame. I know some of you guys would really like to have that, but there's ASRock Z690 Taichi for those. Here we have something entirely different. BeQuiet Silent Wings 4 fan series, technically optimized on every level, which are suited for high-end PC builds as radiator fans, heatsinks and case fans alike. The variety of fan corners from different purposes, or the smooth running 6-pole fan motor with fluid dynamic bearing, and you could say that they are the most progressive and technically advanced fans by BeQuiet and the paragon of every fan in the category. They have a new blade arrangement, which means that Silent Wings 4 series fans are setting a new standard for all other fans in the high-end category. All black sleek design with newly designed elegant fan sticker ensures that fan will make a great impression in any PC case. If you want to learn more about BeQuiet Silent Wings 4, check out the links in the description below. Now, of course, this motherboard is based on the 13th generation, but you can also use 12th generation here of Intel Core processors, DDR5, Gen 5 PCI Express slots, and the M.2 sockets and whatnot. Let's check out the specifications. So first things first, let's start with the basic stuff and I/O overview. We have two USB 2.0, we have HDMI port, we have two antennas for killer Wi-Fi 6E plus Bluetooth, then we have microphone in and audio out, SPDIF, then we have four USB 3.2 generation 1 type A, we have gigabit LAN, we have two Thunderbolt 4 USB 4 type C and 2.5G LAN, and finally two USB 3.2 generation 2 type A. Now let's check some main features of this board. So it has PD 3.0 60 watts fast charging, which supports USB PD 3.0 up to 20 volts at 3 amperes of fast charging. Needs to install 12 volt 6-pin power connector next to the 24-pin header. Then when we're talking about power phase, we have 24 plus 2 plus 1 with 105 ampere smart power stage, which delivers smoother and neater power to the CPU. Then it supports 4 DIMMs of DDR5 up to 6600 OC. Expansion slots, we have two PCI Express 5.0 x 16 and one PCI Express 4.0 x 16, one blazing M.2 Gen 5 x 4, 4 M.2 Gen 4 x 4 and 8 SATA ports. Audio is 5.1 channel HD audio Realtek ALC 4082 audio codec with ESS Sabre 9218 DAC, Vima audio caps and Nahimic audio. The form factor on this motherboard is E80X, so comparing it to the past model, this is something that expands the motherboard space, and you do need to take that into consideration when choosing a case. Of course, this is really important because you don't want to end up buying a case that doesn't support E80X boards and having just a couple of millimeters or even a centimeter that will be missing to place this outstanding board. Now, let's start with the connectors on the board, just once again to have everything exactly explained. Two 8-pin EPS headers, then we have two PWM headers, one is CPU fan 1 and the other one is CPU fan 2 or water pump. Then we have two addressable RGB headers, 5 volts 3-pin, 24-pin header for the power. Then we have 6-pin header which is designed and used for the fast charging I already mentioned. USB 3.2 Type-C, USB 3.0, 8 SATA ports, front panel jack, another 4-pin PWM header with possibility for a water pump. Then we have a reset and power on button, 2 more PWM headers, 2 USB 2.0, 1 USB 3.2, 2 PWM for your fans, 1 addressable RGB 3-pin 5 volts, 1 RGB 4-pin 12 volts, and audio header. Now this board is quite interesting because I skipped around the processor. This is chassis fan 1 or water pump, which is near the processor, and we have 8 PWM headers for your fans. Now this is outstanding because this will give you maximum control over your fans if you don't go with either some separated controller or a splitter or anything else, even though the splitter could do the same thing as connecting them to a standard PWM, depending on how much fans are you going to use. Now for the RAMs and the PCI slots, we have reinforced slots for the RAMs and for the first 2 PCI slots. Quite outstanding. The RGB can be controlled with ASRock Polychron Sync, so you can adjust this IO shield cover, you can adjust this part right here, and of course you can adjust the headers for your addressable RGB. Now for this board, unfortunately, I do understand that the power stage is really outstanding and could be used quite nicely with 13900K, but unfortunately I only have 13600K. So let's check out the results and what this motherboard can do with first M.2 SSDs, then RAMs, and of course the processor. So for M.2 testing I use the Kingston KC3000, and the read goes up to 6900 megabytes per second, while the write goes to up to 6230 megabytes per second, which is quite alright. And I think if I use the Samsung 990 Pro, I think the results would be much greater, reaching speeds about 7500 megabytes per second read. But nevertheless, now here's the interesting thing. I used 4 sticks of DDR5 Kingston Fury Beast, and unlocking the XMP it went up to 6000 megahertz, which was outstanding because it performed without any single hiccups compared to past generation of boards. Here are the results. The read speeds go up to 84,800 megabytes per second, write speeds go up to 88,000 megabytes per second, and the copy goes up to 86,000 megabytes per second. This is a board that really can work with 4 sticks of DDR4, at least what I tested, and I didn't try overclocking them a bit more than 6000 megahertz, just because I wanted the complete stability and see how that pans out. But so far it did good, and I have nothing against it. The VRMs actually are cooled quite nice with the passive heat sinks. 13600K on this motherboard actually achieved quite nice performance comparing it to some other processors. So Cinebench R23 22258 in multi-score threads, Corona 1.3 66 seconds of render time, POV-Win kernel 0.08 seconds, Lips time complete was 0.84 seconds. Unigine Heaven 4.0 FPS 379 FPS with score of 9549, and Re-Ray Bench 5.02 15,360 V samples. Also, I do have to say that the backside of the motherboard has some reinforced steel to hold the whole PCB board together, so it kind of doesn't flex a lot and gives more stability to the processor while placing a CPU block or anything else, compared to the past generation of motherboards Z690. On some boards I heard that they had problems with socket flexing and it had issues with RAMs. So in these terms it works perfectly fine, and as you saw I placed Deepcool LT720 with 4 sticks and all 4 work without any issues. Also, I do have to say that the motherboard has 8-layer PCB design. Also, it supports DDR5, Intel XMP and AMD Expo, which can reach up to actually 7,000 megahertz. DDR5 memory have a protection circuit, which also has reinforced DIMM slots as already stated. Now let's check something about the audio. We have ES9218 Sabre DAC, which gives us true hi-fi audio, no distorted digital signal, 130 decibels SNR, 112 decibels THD plus N, and supports higher impedance up to 600 ohms headphones. I would say all in all, this is definitely a premium motherboard as any other Z in these terms. Let's put it this way: ASRock Z690 Taichi, then we have Z790 Taichi also here, and basically these boards with the name Taichi, I would just place them as the premium and performance boards that really can support the latest and the highest of Intel Core processors at the certain generation, and of course maximum performance with RAMs, and of course the blazing fast M.2 slots. Guys, this was some sort of an overview, and I would say a slight introduction with some specs and benchmarks to the Z790 Taichi with 13600K, which was quite impressive and interesting altogether. You can check out the links below. I'll place the link for the ASRock Z790 Taichi and 13600K and 13900K, just for you to decide which one to go. Of course, you're going to go with 13900K in terms of performance, reliability, and this board, just to compare a high-end motherboard with a high-end processor. But 13600K really didn't let me down, and you can check that out in the video right after this one. I'll place the thumbnail so you could click it and continue watching that one as well. Finally, if you're new to the channel, as I already say in each of my videos, don't forget to subscribe, keep the channel growing and rolling, of course, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Thank you, bye bye.